In the late 19th century, freak shows weren't just a form of entertainment. They were a staple of American culture. At that time, there was no Netflix or Facebook for people to rely on for fun, so they flocked to the circus and sideshows to see something extraordinary. These shows featured individuals with rare and unusual physical traits, often referred to as circus freaks. While that term is seen as offensive by today's standards, back then, it was a used label for describing these remarkable individuals who lived beyond the boundaries of social norms. In this video, we'll take a look at the lives of 15 such people whose stories are as amazing as they are unique. Number 15. Madame Gustica. Gustica was a freak show performer best known for her unusually stretched lips, though there was more to her story than the photograph that made her famous. Captured in 1930, the photo shows her smoking a pipe with an 8-inch lip plate. Her lips weren't bizarre to her. They reflected cultural tradition, likely Ethiopian in origin. During the 1930s, she appeared in Coney Island sideshows when freak shows were still in demand and TV had yet to take over. The working class couldn't afford overseas travel, so seeing people from distant places became its own spectacle. Gustica was often incorrectly labeled as part of the Ubangi or duck-billed tribes, names meant to sound exotic to Western audiences. The pipe may have been a staged prop, showing she could function normally. Her practice reflected real tribal traditions, especially among the Mercy, Suri, and Makonde. Today, she's remembered not for spectacle, but for how misunderstood culture was turned into a sideshow curiosity. She was human, just like you and me. Number 14. Pascual Piñon. Have you ever heard the phrase, "two heads are better than one"? Well, someone like Pascual Piñon might have had a few opinions on that. He was a railroad laborer from Texas, born in 1889, and led a mostly unremarkable life. That is, until people started pointing out what appeared to be two separate heads. Strangely enough, this wasn't caused by any genetic anomaly. What he had was an abnormally large tumor bulging from his skull that made it look like he had a second head. But when a circus promoter learned about his condition, he decided a tumor wasn't good enough. So he invented a backstory and turned it into a spectacle. The second head? Just a painted face over the growth, designed to mislead crowds. People were fascinated, and Piñon soon found himself traveling with the circus. Years later, a similar case showed up in China. Chang Tzu-ping had a second face too, though his sat on his chin and was eventually removed. Number 13. The Ape Woman. Julia Pastrana was no stranger to attention, but it wasn't always kind. Born in Mexico in 1834, she had a rare condition called hypertrichosis, causing thick hair growth all over her body. She also had gingival hyperplasia, which made her gums protrude and distorted her facial structure. Together, these traits gave Julia an appearance sideshow promoters labeled as ape-like. She was billed as the Ape Woman or Baboon Lady and toured the world as a circus attraction. But things changed when she was taken to Europe and managed by a man named Theodore Lent. He married her and claimed affection, though his actions told another story. After Julia died in 1860 from complications during childbirth, Lent had both her and their newborn son embalmed and continued exhibiting them post-mortem. Her mummified body was displayed for decades, long after her death. But after years of petitions and public outcry, Julia was finally returned to Mexico in 2013, where she was buried with dignity and peace, as some people say. Number 12. The Four-Legged Woman. If animals are faster on four legs, could a person with four legs outrun them? Josephine Myrtle Corbin might have had an answer. Known in the late 1800s as the Four-Legged Woman, she gained attention for an incredibly rare condition where she appeared to have four functioning limbs. Born in 1868, she had what's called a dipygous twin, meaning one pair of legs belonged to her while the other set formed from an underdeveloped twin. Her parents realized they could make money off this physical anomaly and showcased her in sideshows, claiming the profits would go toward her future and education. The underdeveloped limbs were malformed, with just 3 toes on each foot, and positioned in a way that made walking nearly impossible. Myrtle relied on her primary legs for mobility. She became a sideshow favorite, even performing with P.T. Barnum and the Ringling Brothers. After marrying Dr. James Clinton Bicknell in 1886 and starting a family, she eventually returned to showbiz to support her household. Number 11. Aloysia Wagner. Aloysia Wagner, best known by her stage name Violetta, was born around 1906 or 1907 in Germany. She entered the world without arms or legs due to a condition similar to tetra amelia. But where most would be counted out, she decided early on that she would make her difference count. At 15, she joined the sideshow circuit, showcasing a level of skill and independence that shocked audiences. By 17, she'd crossed the Atlantic and joined the Ringling Brothers in 1924, becoming one of their standout acts. Her abilities were nothing short of remarkable. She could thread a needle, sew, comb her hair, and dress herself using just her torso and chin. She also appeared at Dreamland Circus Sideshow, where her performances left lasting impressions. Violetta didn't seek pity. She brought elegance and strength to a world that often expected tragedy. While others may have stared, she moved forward with grace, proving that real capability comes from mindset, not limbs, and she knew exactly who she was. Number 10. Life of the Elephant Man. You've probably heard of the Elephant Man, a haunting yet iconic figure from 19th century Britain. His real name was Joseph Merrick, born in 1862 with severe physical deformities. Though never properly diagnosed in his lifetime, it's believed he had Proteus syndrome or possibly neurofibromatosis type 1. His face, limbs, and body were covered with large growths that gave him a deeply unusual appearance. Life was incredibly difficult. He faced constant pain, limited mobility, and near-total isolation. The only opportunity he saw was through exhibition, where he was given the name Elephant Man and put on display. His life began to shift when Dr. Frederick Trevis, a London physician, took interest in him. Trevis arranged for Merrick to live at the London hospital, where he finally received proper care and dignity. His story attracted public empathy, and for the first time, people began to recognize the gentle, intelligent man beneath the condition. Despite hardship, Merrick's life became a symbol of strength and humanity. Number 9. A human horn. While horns on animals are common, human ones are another story. Across history, horned figures have appeared in myths and religious art, from misread illustrations of Moses to depictions of Alexander the Great. But human horn growth is real and has been documented medically. One of the most striking cases happened in the 1930s in China, where a farmer named Wang grew a 14-inch horn from the back of his skull. It wasn't fantasy. It was real keratin buildup forming an extended structure that resembled an animal horn. Robert Ripley, founder of Ripley's Believe It or Not, caught wind of Wang and offered him money to appear in his American shows. Wang never accepted and disappeared shortly after news broke. His vanishing added a layer of mystery to what was already unbelievable. Other cases of horn-like growths have been recorded, but few ever matched the scale or intrigue of Wang's. What exactly happened to him is still unknown, but his image remains one of the strangest ever captured. Number 8. Lionel the Lion-Faced Man. Stefan Bobrowski, more widely known as Lionel the Lion-Faced Man, was born in 1890 in Poland with hypertrichosis, a condition that caused thick hair growth across his face and body. Unlike others, Lionel's hair resembled a lion's mane, earning him the nickname that followed him his entire life. He began performing in sideshows and circuses as a young boy, and his unique look made him an instant draw. Audiences across Europe and the US flocked to see him, and he eventually joined the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. But Lionel was far more than his appearance. Off stage, he was gentle, well-spoken, and reportedly quite artistic. He enjoyed playing mandolin and engaging with those who saw beyond the surface. While many were stunned by his looks, Lionel left a different impression when they met him. Number 7. Cuckoo the Bird Girl. Minnie Woolsey, known as Cuckoo the Bird Girl, carved out her legacy through both performance and presence. Born in 1880, she lived well into the 1960s and spent her life on the sideshow circuit. She had Seckle syndrome, which gave her a small head, bird-like features, a narrow face, and a slight frame. Her recessed jaw and soft-spoken voice, paired with her signature feathered outfit and headpiece, made her act unforgettable. Minnie appeared in the 1932 film Freaks, where her quirky dance and whimsical speech made her a standout. Her costume, while unusual, emphasized the features that had already made her famous. Though visually impaired, she still managed to own every stage she walked or danced across. She became a regular at Coney Island, performing well into her 80s. Her act blended eccentricity with a kind of confidence that wasn't easily shaken. Minnie didn't just perform, she endured. Number 6. The Camel Girl. Ella Harper may not have had 4 legs, but her journey was equally unique. Born in 1870, she was diagnosed with a rare condition that bent her knees backward, forcing her to walk on all fours, earning her the nickname the Camel Girl. With few options available for employment, young Ella eventually turned to the circus world, where she found something resembling belonging and admiration. Her unusual gait, once hidden by her family, quickly drew attention. By the age of 8, she was featured in circus performances, captivating audiences with her distinctive movement. Though many came to gawk, her shows weren't about humiliation, they were about resilience. Her act became well known across the country, helping her gain a level of success rarely afforded to people with visible disabilities. Yet Ella refused to be defined by her condition. Number 5. The Schlitzie Star. Some people are born different, and Schlitzie Surtees was no exception. Known simply as Schlitzie, he became a standout sideshow performer during the early 20th century. Born in 1901, he had microcephaly, a condition causing a significantly smaller head and developmental disabilities. These features made him a well-known figure in the circus world. His most iconic appearance came in the 1932 cult film Freaks, directed by Todd Browning. Schlitzie's personality shone through, and his now famous line, "Gobble, gobble, we accept her, one of us," left a lasting impression, reinforcing the film's central theme of inclusion. Outside of film, Schlitzie continued performing in sideshows, always dressed in bright, elaborate costumes. His energy and warmth captured people who were drawn to his joyful presence. Despite his challenges, Schlitzie lived a life surrounded by spectators who genuinely cared for him. Number 4. The Lobster Boy. Grady, aka Lobster Boy, lived a life shaped by both notoriety and sorrow. Born in 1937 with ectrodactyly, his hands and feet took on claw-like shapes, resembling lobster pincers. He came from a long line of sideshow performers and followed the same path, gaining fame in carnivals and freak shows. His distinctive limbs weren't the result of makeup or gimmicks. They were completely natural, making him a major draw. With a charismatic stage persona, he entertained crowds through humor and stories. But behind the curtain, Grady battled alcoholism and was known for a violent temper. His personal life was turbulent. In 1978, he was convicted of killing his daughter's fiancé but avoided prison due to his condition. Still, he kept performing. In 1992, his story ended in murder, killed by a hitman hired by his wife and son. Grady's life became a tabloid spectacle, but beneath the controversy was a man forever defined by his difference, for better or worse. Number 3. The Armless Wonder. Frances O'Connor didn't just survive without arms, she thrived. Born in 1914 with a condition called phocomelia, she lacked both upper limbs entirely. But rather than be defined by limitation, she built a career as the armless wonder in the early 20th century sideshow circuit. Using her feet with astonishing precision, she painted, wrote, fed herself, and even played instruments. Her grace and control stunned audiences who had never seen someone so adaptable. Frances wasn't just a performer, she was an artist. Her talents caught the eye of Robert Ripley, who featured her in his famed Ripley's Believe It or Not series. She became a star attraction, not because of what she lacked, but because of what she mastered. Beyond the stage, Frances represented perseverance, independence, and capability. She shattered assumptions and proved that limitations are often set by others, not by the individual. Number 2. The Fuzzy Life. Fedor Jevtichuk, widely known as Jojo the Dog-Faced Boy, was born in Russia in 1868 and lived a life shaped by spectacle. He had hypertrichosis, a rare condition that caused dense hair growth across his entire face and body. His appearance didn't resemble an ape like many assumed, but more like a shaggy dog. His father, Adrian, also had the same condition, and together they entered the sideshow world. Jojo toured internationally throughout the late 1800s and quickly became one of the most sought-after attractions. Despite being presented as a novelty, Jojo was intelligent, articulate, and sensitive, traits rarely acknowledged by those who paid to see him. He earned a modest fortune and lived more comfortably than many of his peers, but still faced constant judgment from people who only saw his appearance. What made Jojo stand out wasn't just the hair, it was the fact that he refused to be reduced to it. Number 1. General Tom Thumb. Size isn't everything, and Charles Sherwood Stratton proved it. Born January 4, 1838 in Bridgeport, Connecticut, he rose to fame as General Tom Thumb. But don't let the name confuse you. He wasn't a soldier, just a remarkably small man. Stratton stopped growing after 5 months due to a pituitary condition. He stood at only 25 inches and weighed just 15 pounds. Then came P.T. Barnum, who saw potential and brought Stratton into his museum's stage shows. At just 5 years old, Tom Thumb was already entertaining crowds in New York City with singing and dancing. His charisma turned him into a phenomenon. In 1844, Barnum brought him to England, where he met Queen Victoria. From there, he toured Europe, made headlines, and gained worldwide recognition. He later fell in love with fellow performer Lavinia Warren, and the two married, turning their relationship into part of the act. They even met President Lincoln. Though his condition was never diagnosed, he lived a celebrated life in entertainment. If you've enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.